everyone. Welcome to Free Spirit. So, Soto and I kind of got messages throughout the years to kind of open up a line of communication for people who are spiritual and have had spiritual experiences. So, we decided to go ahead and start making these podcasts to open up a window for those who have experienced some things but are either too afraid to come out because of judgment or being a fear of being ridiculed or anything like that, or just being true to themselves, just the fear of not speaking your truth. We're pretty much here to just guide, mentor, and let people know that there's a safe space to be who they are, and letting people know what they experience is okay.
Yeah, absolutely. The how we came up with the free spirit is just, we kind of just want to let things be exactly what it means, free spirit, and just let things just come that you feel and just release it and then kind of go with it. That's kind of how this whole podcast came. Nikki was getting messages, I was getting messages, and we didn't know that I didn't know that she was getting them, and then she didn't know that I was getting them until we kind of just said something, and it kind of came together, and we're like, hey, we're both getting them. So we just said, let's do it, and here we are.
Well, the funny thing is, we were both getting the messages, and we were both kind of like, okay, a writers group, what does this even mean? Like, we're not writers, we're not we're not in a book club or a Bible study, or what is this actually meaning? And then we just kind of discussed it, and then it just kind of took off from there once we decided how we were going to go about it.
Right. And so we just went with it. We just went with the flow and say, you know what, we're going to trust what we're receiving and make an experience out of it. And here we are, 3 days later, I think,
yeah,
from the initial conversation. So that's how fast we kind of just trust our intuition and a higher power to guide us and lead us and reach hearts and reach minds, and also to share your experience with us, because we love to hear what you have.
All right. Well, I guess go ahead and tell us some more about yourself, Jesse.
My name's Jesus Soto, or Jesse. Some people call me Jesse, or if you're in the military, Soto. So I got 3 names. A little bit about myself. I've done 20 years in the United States Air Force. I'm married. I have 4 kids. We own a ranch out here in Texas. So a lot going on. Pretty busy. And I think that's about it.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Nikki. Just Nikki. I'm a mom of 3. I am a wife, a sister. I served 13 years in the Air Force. I've done 11 years active duty, currently doing my 2nd year in the reserves. And I'm pretty much just on a spiritual journey of love and self-growth, with God as my wingman. So without further ado, let's get to it.
That was pretty good. We could talk about one of your experiences that you had. Like, maybe the most significant one that you remember, like through this, through your walk with God, like what hit you the most?
See, like, I'm still like, because I am who I am, I'm a very personal person. I still have that slight fear of putting myself out there, which is kind of silly if you really think about it. But I think it's just that fear of letting people know who I really am has kind of always been with me. So like anytime, like with you asking me that, it just like immediately my reaction is to like put up a wall, like,
Yeah.
But I would say that, one of the biggest things for me was, after I had my 2nd daughter, my 3rd child, my youngest, just going through a lot of like that postpartum depression and just talking to God. Like that was like my biggest thing. Like I couldn't take it anymore. And I literally just broke down. Typical just complete depression picture here, just losing my mind, just feeling like I couldn't go on anymore. And then, breaking down so far and just, asking God, like, listen, I know you've always been there for me. Like, give me the strength to get through this situation and let me just be your vessel. Let me just, work your good through me so I can help and influence other people. Like, let me do this for you, because I feel like there's nothing else I can do. And that's kind of when I gave it to God. And
Yeah.
it's funny how quick, as soon as you say, basically, God, you're in the driver's seat, how quickly things start changing. And, you ask for the signs, the first couple hundred signs you get, you question yourself, is it real? Is this, I know I asked, hey, if this is real, show me a cat. And literally 2 seconds later, you show me a cat. And I'm still over here questioning, like, okay, is this for real? Like, and you do it with something else, like, show me a New Jersey license plate when I'm driving to work, and you see it and you're like still questioning. But then, once you slap yourself in the face and wake up a little bit, you realize that all these signs are legit, and you start getting more comfortable knowing that God is there all the time for you when you need him, and just when you give it to him, and then you just kind of step into, like, out of the shadows into his light, and you just feel like the warmth of his light on you. That's like when you're unstoppable. Like, it only goes up from there. So I would say, like, the biggest impact for me was just being at my lowest and giving it to God, and instantly things started changing.
When you were talking about, like, hey, God, show me this, and if you're listening, show me that. And I was not deployed. I was in Korea in 2012, and I was reading testimonies. I want to say testimony. Oh yeah, I guess testimonies of people's, like, the guardian angels sending stuff like a penny or a feather, or something interesting. And so the curiosity got the best of me, and I was like, you know what, I want a feather. I was like, where is my feather at? So
Careful what you ask for.
Yeah, exactly. So and so I was in Korea. Mind you, I was in, if those that have been there, they know, I was in the dorms there, and they have your washer and dryers are all indoor. There's nothing flying around inside the dorms for the most part. But anyways, I was doing my laundry. I took my laundry and I started folding in my room. And while I was folding it, this feather just slowly fell in front of me and drifted all the way down to the clothes that I was folding. And it took me a second, like, what the heck is a feather doing in my room? And then it hit me as soon as I said, what is this feather? It said, oh, they sent me a feather, and so it is real. Like, I mean, I've even looked up, like, where did this feather come from? Like, it was inside my dorm room at the time. This feather just fell right on my folded clothes, and I couldn't believe it. And I carry that feather to this day in my wallet, because I asked for a feather. Like, I said, hey, whoever's listening, because I didn't want to limit myself to an archangel or something. I just said, I've got my guardian angels. Like, I like to see a feather to affirm your presence. And boom, one day it just came out of nowhere. I even forgot about that. I asked, and until it landed. So that's pretty that's what brought that memory back when you had mentioned about the what you were doing, or what you were going, or what you were doing to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's crazy. And especially when people are, like, say, for my instance, in that lower state, to see something like that, you become very skeptical of, like, okay, did I really just ask for that? And then now I'm seeing it, is it just a coincidence, stuff like that. And, you definitely question yourself in the beginning a lot. And then you just learn to trust yourself, because the more it starts happening, the more comfortable you feel in the situation. Like, you just have to trust. And it's funny, the more I actually talk, like, my story as suppressing myself and what I've gone through, but the more I speak my truth and the more you know, like when I was going through my depression, like nobody wants anyone to know that they're going through depression and, how far in the hole they are. And, nobody wants anyone to see that. So I was great, like at putting on a face, putting on a mask, I'd wake up and go to work and no one knew, what I was going through because I was just so good at hiding who I truly am, just from childhood. Um, so, you know, being able to talk to people about stuff like this makes me feel a lot more comfortable with myself. And when I spoke about it at work, when I did finally start seeing some signs, I started getting the message to like, don't be afraid of what you're going through. And it actually got to the point where I started opening up to the guys in my shop about what I've been going through. And never in my life did I ever think that they would be like pulling me to the side and they're like, hey, listen, I've been going through like, not as bad as you, but like I've been feeling things like this, or, where did you go to get the help? Because they didn't know where to get the help. And it was just like, wow, like if I could just be honest and be open with the guys in my shop about what I'm going through, it just shows me how many other people are hiding it and afraid to speak up because depression is very looked down upon, like especially for men, because it's like, well, you're weak, or stuff like that. But you'll be surprised how many men have opened up to me, because either one, they just felt like they couldn't go on anymore, or they just have lost all hope and they didn't know how to get help or anything like that. So the more I was talking about it openly in my shop, more and more guys were pulling me to the side like, hey, did they ask you this when you went to mental health? Or, what is the process? How do I get this started? Who has to know? Who do I have to notify? Like, it's just it's got a bad rep around it where, people are afraid to ask for help. And when I got the message of like, it's okay, like tell people about what you have gone through, I didn't realize like how impactful it would be for the people around me, and
Right.
to just kind of give them that first step of getting the help they needed. So I think that was very like one of the most important signs that I ever got. And honestly, after that, speaking about what I kind of went through allowed me to process it more emotionally and realize that it was just a situation I went through. It wasn't who I was. It was just something I went through. And it's, I look back and I don't even remember or, even associate myself with that person who I was at that time. So just talking about it more with and being more open with people, it just honestly was like a self-healing thing for me, but also in return, I was helping others around me by speaking up.
Right. Yeah. It's like you realize everyone's suffering in their own ways.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
when you when and then when I'm pretty sure others that saw that that you were kind of going through this, then they were like, wow, okay, it's probably relieving for them too, because they're like, oh, now I could get this off my chest, someone else is going through something else, and or a similar situation, but yeah, that's some scary stuff to be in. And especially when you're having to live two lives, reality.
It's a lot to keep up with.
Right. Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. It's very draining because here you are having to go around, doing your work because you're still, whether what you're, whatever you're going through, whether good or bad, you still have to perform at a job. Like you're still having to do this. You still have, I think that time you were an inspector. So you had to go out and do your inspection. You had to put the report in, you had to do, so there's still stuff you had to do on top of what you were facing. So it's, that's extremely exhausting, having to, it's almost like a light switch, turn it off and on, like, but anyways, yeah, that was, Yeah, that I'd say that's pretty powerful to, that others were able to confine in you and kind of open up, and non-judgmental, with them or criticizing them. But
Yeah, it definitely opened my eyes to, especially in the military and with even with veterans or even spouses, because, it is definitely a big element, I guess, in the military culture, just from, the training and things that we go through. Not to say that like civilians or anything different, but I do feel like it does hit a lot harder, I guess, because, for me, my closest family was what, 26 hours away. And, you know, going through this certain particular point in my life, it was me and my kids because my husband was he wasn't able to be there for us because he was, going through school and doing self progression for our family. So, when it was all on me, it was hard because, yeah, like you said, you'd have to switch that light switch on and off, especially when I went home, like with my kids, because that, like, that was my kids are my life. And, you know, you don't want them to see that part of you. And
right,
I mean, even just like with anything, you don't want anyone to see that part of you. So it is like when you need to take that mask off is like when you're alone. And that's how, society makes us feel, is like you can only take your mask off when no one's looking. And honestly, people's mentalities just need to change around that, because in some way, shape, or form, people are hurting and they just need the help, stuff like that. So, but yeah, so that was the most impactful for me, especially getting that message of, let people know what you're going through, and just being terrified of allowing people to know what was actually going on.
yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, I was trying to recall some of mine, and man, I don't know which one to really speak on. I guess I'll just have to pick one.
Yeah,
but
I'm like, yep.
but so I guess something that I've went through. So I guess I was having some issues with my wife, and we had a pretty big downfall, and and this was, I don't even know, this was years ago, I think in 2013, 2014, something like that. And anyways, things just got bad, and I ended up just kind of in a place where I didn't know what to do, just kind of confused on what I should do, shouldn't do, just a lot going on. And I remember talking to God, like, why is this happening? Why are these things going? Like, what's, just got a lot of questions. And it had hit me so hard that I didn't, I was in this trance, I guess, for like 3 days. And I didn't even eat nothing. I didn't even realize I didn't eat or drink anything. I was just in this massive trance of just trying to get back together, on piecing the marriage back together. And so anyways, on the third day, I remember I was praying. Jesus came to me, and his body was light. It was like just pure light, sitting right next to me while I was praying. And I felt everything. Like, I felt everything. And to me, that was my biggest experience. And that wasn't the first time I seen Jesus walk, but that was kind of the most impacting, because I kind of was just going through a lot, and I just gave it to him, and things just started changing, because he gave me a message saying the footsteps that I created, or that came of this, would be swept away, that he would just just get rid of everything, like, all the commotion and the chaos, I guess, that was happening. He gave me confirmation that this is all going to be swept away. Like, nothing's come of anything. It's just, I got you. So that was my biggest thing, because I mean those 3 days, like, I lost like 10 pounds. I was just that stressed about everything, and not knowing what the outcome was going to be. And so that was kind of one of my biggest highlights. I just took his word saying, pray with all your might and all your strength, and that's what I did for 3 days. And and it worked. It worked. So my message to you guys and gals, if you guys got something going on, you're in a rut, just give it all. Just give it all to him and allow him to manifest, because the way that we handle it is not always the best, and the way that God handles it, it's going to be the best. But we just got to do it on his timing, not our timing. That's the biggest factor, just to have that patience and that faith. Most importantly, just that faith. Just give it to him and just let him guide you. Just it's really weird. There's it's almost. I had got one message one time to think nothing. It was really weird. He's like, there's like the way God showed me was like, you have a space between thoughts. So like you have one word to the left, one word to the right, and then right between, he showed me to focus on what was between, which was nothing, to think of nothing. And it was awesome. Like it was really weird. Like sometimes thinking of nothing is beneficial. So I apply that to this day, because when I'm like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed, okay, I know how to fix this. Just think nothing. And it just eliminates your headaches. And it's crazy. I was so happy that I was shown that. It was almost like, be still, silence the mind, because the mind could once it gets running, it's like, it's going, and it could go on. It could go in like 18 different directions. And you're like, oh my God, what do I do? But anyways, that was probably one of my biggest moments. And I had a lot of spiritual encounterments that were just, because it's hard to pick which one, impacted you the greatest, because I just had so many walks with God, and just him, like Jesus revealing himself in my office, to me praying with him. I literally see him in like, one time I was cleaning my table, and his image appeared in the wood grains of my table. But anyways, it's just I just had so many experiences that I could just talk for hours of the experiences. But the one I just talked about was mainly just kind of, I guess what heavily impacted me, and what really gave me clarity to the situation that I was going through. And oh yes, also God told me, he said, this is how beautiful God is. I was going through a lot. My mind was clouded. I was just so confused. I didn't know what direction to take or what step to go. And when I gave it to him, I can remember seeing this cloudy water. God revealed to me like all this chaos in my mind. I seen it all, but because I gave the faith, and I gave it to him and said, you take it, God, please help me. You take it. And he showed me clarity through all that noise. I could see right through it all as clear as day. And it was phenomenal. I was like, wow. And I knew exactly what to do. It just eliminated. It was beautiful. And his message was, and I already knew the answer, but he was just affirming it, was, despite what the chaos that's happening, why is it that you can see so clearly? And I already knew is because I gave it to him to handle and to guide me. And I was able to see through what I couldn't see, but what he allowed me to see. And so, that whole situation was life-changing. I was never the same person after that. And it was for the better. And it just solidified my prayers, my thoughts, my relationship with God, because I'm like, he is listening. He is there. And no one could take that away from me. No one could take that away from me, because it's something that I experienced. But anyways, there's just a little bit of something that I was going through that I could remember that was kind of impacting, one of many.
Isn't it just crazy that it's so simple to just let go? Just release all your worries, release all your fears, and just know God has you. But as human beings, we're just like, we want to control everything around us. We want to control the situation. We need to know when, where, how to do everything. And with kind of how you're saying with that empty space, when you just step back and allow God to do what he does best, things just work out more, a lot easier, and they end up coming out a lot better because God knows what's best for us, and he's going to come up with a solution that's like 10 times better than yours anyway. So why not just sit back and let the creations happen,
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't even know what's best for me. I might think I know, like truly know, but a lot of times I don't know, and so I think this is what, we're kind of just hitting on was, give it to God, let him take what we think we can't fix, and he'll show us through him that he could fix anything, and it doesn't have to be as complicated as we make it to be. But anyways,
yeah, I was just gonna say, we as humans, we always make things harder than they have to be for some reason. It's just in our nature.
We just love it, I think.
We love to complicate things, so
we just overcomplicate things.
Yes.
But yeah, that was just one that I could think of. That was I guess that time it just just brought me to my knees, and I was just going through things, and I did it wasn't fun going through it, but I'm glad I did, because I learned something from it, and I'll never forget it. And those that I hear that go through similar situations love to hear that story, because it gives them a solution to the problem. When people find solution to anything, you're more prompted to listen, right? Because you're like, hey, I invest all this energy into what's going on or what's happening in my life, and hey, someone went through something similar, and this is how they got over it, and they're here today. They're like they're here to be a testament of how they handled a similar circumstances. So it was pretty interesting, and I definitely don't regret going through it. It sucked going through it, but I don't regret it, and it was very life-changing.
Yeah, I would definitely say that, through speaking through like your testimonies, pretty much how you can just see that God is just always there. And I maybe this is one thing that I've kind of struggled with, because, I've always, since I've had my issue, and then I've come to know God on a very personal level, sharing my testimony with people like that, it goes along with me just being a very private person and not wanting people to know who I really am. And, being able to share stories and relate to other people through testimonies that way, because things that you've already been through and you've grown and learned from, you can teach others. Everyone needs that guidance when they're just so wrapped around the negativity and stuff like that. So you've already been through it. You've already learned lessons. You've already learned, outcomes. So, say your testimony and put everything out there to hopefully spark something in one person to help them grow it and overcome what they've gone through. One is, I guess, our main goal here is to, even if we just help one person by doing this podcast, that's something, I don't know exactly how to express what I'm trying to say, but, just by going through and telling our stories, and, hopefully that'll encourage others to come forward, or even, spark something in people who don't believe, or because, everyone has their doubts, and, and everyone can think that, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. That's kind of why we're here. We don't really care who I don't want to say don't care, but it doesn't matter who you follow or who you worship, or if you don't worship anybody, this is just a place for everybody, without, like we said, it's our non-judgmental space where people can be who they are without judgment. So
all right. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I have anything else to add other than, I think I'll add one more thing. Someone once told me that we don't that I don't live long enough to make every mistake, and to watch others and learn from their mistakes. And I mean, that was probably the best advice I got. I think I got a lot of what nots to do's than what's to do's. but but it just comes to show that we're all continuously learning from one another, whether we see it or not. And what enhances the learning is, giving it to a higher power, God. And I'm just speaking from my own experience. And God's showed me, and this is my belief, to stop focusing on the negativity, because if you focus on negativity, that's all you're going to see.
Yeah, what do you always say? You reap what you sow.
Yeah, so exactly. So what I've learned is to focus on the light, focus on a higher power, so that way you can see through this. And that's sometimes you get in these, someone will do you wrong, and just like me, I get passionate about it, because I'm not out here to wrong people, but there's people out here to wrong you. And so there's times I get a little frustrated, but then I have to let go and focus not on the problem, obviously overcome it, but give it to the focus more on the light. That way you can overcome it. That way you're not falling into a revengeful state of mind. And it just leads to a dark mindset when you revolve around that kind of stuff.
It's just sparking that conversation and making those connections with people, because us as humans, we thrive off of connecting with people, and honestly, just connecting. When we connect with other people about God, like that's when you are shining super bright.
Oh yeah.
So just making connections with people, and then getting on that spiritual level, like that really inner knowing deep level of God, definitely deepens the connection, and both with people and God, because the more you speak about it, I just get excited. So yeah, so just being open about your experiences.
Oh yeah. We all have them, and we're hoping here to pull them out of you. that way we can learn from you. Definitely like to hear what God might have done in your life, or an experience that that you'd like to share, or anything that would feel add value to maybe what others might be going through or have been going through. It's pretty remarkable, some of the stories you hear. And I had someone, even dreams, oh man, them dreams are wild. And I just thought about someone, I had worked with, and one day, kind of like what happened with Nikki, I was just talking, and he kind of said, hey, you know what, I want to share some with you. And he told me about a dream he had, that he was allotted the opportunity to go up into heaven, and God, I guess stopped him at the front gate, and he pointed down and said, this is what I created in 7 days. And he turned around and pointed behind him, which was heaven. He says, imagine what I can do with eternity. And I was like, what? Like, where's my dream? I was like,
yeah, that's a big statement.
Yeah, like it was like just blew my mind, just what God could reveal to others. And I mean, I was a little jelly, because I was like, well, where's my visit? Like, what's going on here? But it was awesome though. It was an awesome jelly. It was like, I was able to capture that moment through him, and thanked him for sharing. But just stuff like that God's revealed, put things in perspectives that that you would never think of. Like, I would never have thought of that, because I wasn't shown that. But through others I learned, and man, I learned a lot, because I was like, wow, this, I look around and I was like, this is what he did in 7 days. And compared to eternity, oh my God, it's probably what is even better. But it's just, I couldn't even think about the possibilities of what it might be. But it was just very powerful dream. And we love hearing those things, those dreams and those kind of connections, and that realm, that, I mean, I think I think we could talk for an hour about all the dreams I had. I mean, just oh my God, just wild dreams, just but anyways, I think that's all I got. You got anything else?
No, that should be pretty good.
But yeah, so yeah, I don't think I got anything else for this one.
All right. Well, I guess we just want to thank everyone for listening, and you know, we hope that you guys keep listening because we will be covering a lot of interesting topics. And, like Jesse said, if you guys have anything that you guys want us to elaborate on or go further into, or, maybe you're just curious about a certain kind of idea, we are always down for learning more things and new things and just kind of going. So just let us know. And we appreciate you listening. Hope you guys all have a good day, and we'll see you at the next episode.